Welcome, friends. Welcome to Gen X News. We are streaming live on X, Rumble, and YouTube. Also, I believe we are streaming live on my guest, Bill Dozer's YouTube. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in. We have some really bizarre, strange stuff to talk about today. It is a bizarre political terrain. And the map that we see that we think is politics does not always match the territory. And what we get to know is really happening behind politics. I believe I was talking about that yesterday when I talked about brands. I was talking about how we do a brand identity in these companies and governments, and we create this idea of ourselves. And often we stamp it off with a logo or a sigil of sorts to say this is who I are, and we invest all this money into making you have emotions and feelings and connections towards politicians, brands, movie stars, celebrities, products, whatever it is. But behind that brand is the real story. They want you to worship the feeling that they want to invoke, but the real story is that's why we have journalists and people talking, so we can dig behind what's happening. And today we're going to dig behind the NSA and what's going on and what was going on, at least in the Biden administration. We're going to look at first elections in Romania. And stuff has gotten serious there. And we're going to look at Dan Crenshaw. Who is Dan Crenshaw really behind all of the stuff that he says he is? And who is Representative Eric Swalwell? I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be polite. But before I bring Bob in, of course, if you're watching, I want you guys to subscribe on a streaming platform. Or if you prefer audio podcast, it's on there, but you have to go to the website, genxonx.com. I've popped it up there visually. If you're listening to the podcast audio, go subscribe on a streaming or the YouTube so you can see the visual. This is a visual show, so we have slides, videos, all sorts of stuff. So genxonx.com. You can subscribe. You can become a subscriber on my X, which of course is at Gen X News on X. That's the handle. I'll put that right up there. But all the links are on the website. You become a subscriber on X. You can go to my Substack. Everything's linked at the magical website. All right, we got a few of you commenting in chat. We got on SV Hornet. Good evening, man. Good evening, SV Hornet. Thank you for coming. We got a lot of people from Bill Dozer's. Woo! Bill saying, y'all behave. I'm a guest tonight. So I appreciate all this, guys. You know what? There's so many of you here from Bill's audience. Let's not keep Bill waiting. Let's bring him in because we're going to get into this. Welcome to the show, Bill.
Thank you so much for having me. Glad to be here.
All right. So what's going on in the Dozer Den? How's it going?
It's going well. It's going well as far as like the show in general.
Mm-hmm.
It's well, we had episode 69 on Saturday, giggity. We also we had number 70, so we're 70 episodes in, and I have just gotten accepted into the creator program with Rumble. So I am really stoked to see how that is going. Been streaming 3 nights a week, Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 9:30 p.m. Central. Usually cover on the weekdays about 3 to 4 news stories. Then I have a bit of a palate cleanser at the end, and I typically include something I call the Massey Minute, as he's one of the most constitutionally consistent individuals in Congress, and I believe we have to give Chad Massey his due. Saturday streams are a little bit more laid back. We may have one topic where we kind of delve into something a little bit heavy. There may be some rants. I get a little bit spicy from time to time. And then we do the Dozer Den DJ Hour, where I take your music video requests. And even though Rumble Studio has some kind of shoddy audio, it's getting better. Mm-hmm. It's getting better. And I think maybe since I've switched to Brave, maybe it'll sound better. If not, I'm going to be downloading with Y2Mate, maybe with each person who sends in a request, download the song so that I can play it, because it's just been the audio quality through Rumble Studio has been rough. But I'm excited to see what the creator program looks like.
I have never used Rumble Studio. I just stream from my system to Rumble. So I don't know. I might do some Rumble streams to build my audience, because I don't get a lot of interaction there. So I don't know. It's building my audience. I mean, guys, go over there. I'm Gen X on X on Rumble if you guys want to subscribe. Right. It's building, but I don't do direct stuff right on Rumble. I do it through
Mhm,
my system. It just,
mhm.
but the problem is I see your comments here coming through on Rumble, but I never get comments from Rumble in my system.
Huh.
Bizarre. It won't do
That's
it. It won't let
interesting.
it happen.
I've noticed that whenever because I've joined I've watched a few of your streams and I've noticed that the Rumble doesn't pop up, but it's popping up
Mhm.
right now through mine. So
I know.
wait, guys,
So
go
it's weird.
follow Melissa. Go follow Melissa. Okay, she's on Rumble, she's on X, she's on YouTube. Great content, worth your viewership.
Yeah, it's Gen X on X, but
There you
you
go.
go to the website genxonx.com and all my links are there. But I'm gonna have to figure that out because I really want to get the. I know it would be nice to get the Rumble. Good evening, Sean. Welcome back to the show. You were in yesterday. I had a great show last night on the Pope
Oh
prophecy.
yeah.
The last Pope prophecy was good. So I'm gonna switch to our screen because you guys, not that screen. Let's pop this over like that. Okay. We were just mentioning that JD Vance went to the European Union and kind of spoke to them about the problems we had with their so-called democracy. And if you guys know anything about Romania, Romania is a great country, by the way. It's got like ideal farmland. It's very, part of my heritage is from around there. Part. The other part's England and all that stuff. But they had a election, and the ultra nationalist Kalin Gorgescu won. And the EU just went and suspended the results and suspended the elections. And now, months after they canceled his win, they have now arrested him.
Sounds
Kalin
democratic.
Georgescu. Yeah. Um, I'm sure they've made up some propped up charges. They're saying they're democratic, but they're acting worse than Hitler.
It's
Um,
yeah.
So, Romanian prosecutors launched investigation into far-right populists who led canceled presidential vote. What are they saying? They're saying campaign funding abuses.
Hmm. That's convenient. It's convenient. Eventually, there's going to be sex abuse is going to pop up here shortly. That's the
Mhm.
usually when they try to go after somebody like this. That's one of the big ones, like they did with Julian Assange, right? They tried to get him with the
Mhm.
whole, some shady stuff on the side with a lady or something like that. And so that's probably coming. That's probably coming. They will do whatever they can to keep a nationalist. They will do whatever they can to keep a nationalist perspective from taking root in a country because they cannot stand whenever a nation is proud of itself and wants homogeneity. Homogeneity threatens the globalists' tendrils. So they
Yeah.
recoil in horror at the idea of a nation being proud of itself and being proud of its culture. They can't have that.
Yeah, it's really bizarre because they're always throwing back to Hitler. That's why we can't do that, but they're behaving worse than that. And you've seen what happened with the German elections. The party that won saying, "Sorry, we're opening the border and we're bringing more people in and destroying Germany." Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
My
Even though,
husband's German. My husband's German heritage. His mom's from Berlin. I find
wow.
it really distraught that they're doing this to Germany.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Germany's ever since they can't let Germany ever get they're going to continue to punish Germany in perpetuity. And it's disgusting what happened after World War II to the German people. There were millions and millions of people from Germany who were essentially
Mhm.
genocided. So that happened. People don't like to talk about that, but it did happen.
Mhm.
Genocide for a genocide does not fair make. And
Right.
looking at what they are doing right now, the AFD is increasing in popularity. So the
Yes.
media what they put out there as far as what happened with the AFD is actually quite disingenuous because the AFD was right there. It's the most they've ever gotten in Germany. I
Yeah.
think they were at like what 20 or 25%, something like that. So
Yeah.
they got close. Yeah.
Well, I had relatives. My stepfather is from Germany, and I had relatives who were in those concentration camps, and they were German.
Mhm. Yeah.
Hitler put German people in concentration camps.
Yeah.
Nobody was exempt from it. So to act like,
Nope.
oh my, it's
Well, and you have to look at
ridiculous.
what happened to the
These
gulags in
people,
Russia after
yeah,
that. So
these people need to let go of shit. They need to let go of
yes.
some stuff that, yeah, it's just crazy. And this election, what they're doing to this Romanian man is absolutely. disgusting. I really hope the European Union crumbles. I have no empathy for it at this point.
Well, heck, Trump just came out and said what the European Union was literally developed to just to screw the USA. So yeah, I'm all for the
Mhm.
European Union crumbling, crumble away. Here's the
So
thing: they've been propped up by us, though.
he's saying it was developed to screw the USA?
Yeah, he said that earlier today, I believe, in his press conference with his cabinet. I
Wow.
believe that was from today. Yeah, he said yeah, the European Union was pretty much was put in place to screw with the USA. That's the reason, and it's they've only been able to the reason that people talk about all the stuff that Europeans have and all their amazing vacation time and their health care and stuff, that's funded by us. It's funded by the United States of
Mhm.
America. That's why
Well,
that happens.
remember the
And when we
Marshall
cut that
Plan?
off, huh?
Remember the Marshall Plan?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how they rebuilt.
Yep. And it's if you can't stand on your own feet at this point, well then you need to stumble and fall. If you can't handle your own shit at this point, then you're done. And we don't need to mess with you. We need to focus on us. I've given this analogy before. With the United States, we are, if you take a chewed up wad of bubble gum and you stretch, you grab one side and the other side and you stretch ever so slightly, it's still a pretty solid piece, right? Still bubble gum. But when you have a piece and another piece and another piece and another piece and another piece, you end up with a stringy, nasty mess and you can't even recognize it anymore. And that's kind of what's happened with the United States, in my opinion. We need to consolidate,
Well,
compress.
and I'm a Canadian. I live in United States, but
Hmm.
the same goes with Canadians are getting all upset about everything. It's like you ride on the US's military coattails. You also there's a trade deficit of hundreds of millions of dollars, and Canadians are upset that the Americas wants to put tariffs on them, but you should go see the tariffs that Canadians have always had on American products. It's phenomenal.
Exactly. Exactly.
Phenomenal.
I was looking at a list of them the other day, and it is insane that we have just sat
Hundreds
there
of
and taken it. We're like a lion that has had this little fucking chihuahua. Sorry, I don't know if you're okay with me cussing, but we've had this little chihuahua just nipping at our heel and nipping at our heel and nipping at our tail, and we have never really growled and bit or swatted it away. Hey, I'm sorry, not necessarily trying to throw shade at your country there, but I am.
No, no, it's okay. I'm not there's a reason I
Yeah.
left my country, and
Hmm.
it's not because I don't love old Canada. It's ever since Pierre Elliott Trudeau, Canada has turned into a shit hole of a Keynesian economics.
Yeah, God, Keynesian, like Keynesian economics, is a nice thought in a world where there's not human, self-interest. Sure, yeah, but like, I did, Sully. Sorry, I to- but Keynesian, it's a nice thought. Just like the whole utopia thing, it's a nice thought, but it's never going to happen. They've tried it over and over. They spin, spin, spin into to prop it up. It just ends up with inflation, and Canada is a great example of how not to
Mhm.
do economics. Little Castro up there.
I've been mouthing Canadians off all day on X, so don't worry about it.
They're gonna take your
I'm
make.
like,
They're gonna take your
they're
maple
no,
leaf away.
guys, literally, they are talking about allowing France, these people on X, France and Britain, to put nuclear stuff in Ontario and Canada to intimidate the United States. That's what people are saying on X. Like, I'm like, are you completely stupid? Do you not realize that the three major world powers are now the United States, Russia, and China? That doesn't include France, Britain, and the EU. Are you you're gonna get your ass handed to you? Like, are you stupid? That's what they're saying. That's what Canadians are saying on X. Not all Canadians, just the liberal retards.
Yeah, there's a lot of them up there. Oh, I
There
call
is.
them frostbacks, especially if they're
I
coming out this
had to
way.
live amongst them. I had to live amongst them, and I was always just like,
Mm, God
all
bless you.
right,
God bless
so
you.
there you go. So I don't know what's going to happen with Kaylin Gorgescu. I hope I hope someone says something because Romania deserves this guy to lead their country.
It sounds like it, and if here's the thing: if there's legitimate issues, then absolutely put them on blast. But it sounds like these probably are not. No, Rusty Rivers, we're not doing song requests tonight. That's Saturday. But it It sounds like this is probably just trumped up charges, manufactured bullcrap, just to get somebody with a nationalist perspective. Because, like I said, they do not want homogeneity. They can't stand that in a country because that means a country gets strong. And when countries are able to be independent, they don't have to depend on a globalist world order, do they? So
That's right.
they've got to do everything they can to push back.
So Trader Todd says it's too cold in Canada. Where I lived in Canada, where I was born, was cold. Where I lived was Pacific Northwest, so it was really nice. I actually
Mm.
lived in a paradise on an island, so but they were super hyper crazy liberal, and I couldn't take it.
Mm. Yeah, it's kind of tough to be stuck with a bunch of liberals on an island.
They're beyond liberals. Like it used to be down to earth because it was run by resources and pulp mills. But once all that went away, these crazy hyper liberal psychos who apply for government grants on all their special projects just took over slowly. And it's a mind disease. It's a mind virus, if you ask me. And they think they're so cool. I'm like, dude, where does the money keep coming from? You have to have resources. You have to have an economy. You can't just keep getting government handouts for your special projects. And that's how you make money. It has to come from somewhere. We can't just keep going in debt. They're like, huh?
Yeah, yeah, and, actual consequences of our actions. We can't think about that
Yeah.
possibly. No.
I am okay. So let's pray for Romania. I don't have faith in the EU. I think they're absolutely horrible. They're actually, I mean, if you think about the EU, isn't that what Hitler wanted to do in the first place? Oh no. Didn't he want to do that? Didn't he want to expand throughout all of Europe and control it all? This is just the clean, sparkly way
It's
without,
repackaged. It's repackaged Nazism. Nazi expansionism. Oh my God, you're right. It is. It's the empire expanded. That's what
yeah.
Hitler wanted. They just didn't want Hitler to be the guy leading it. Apparently, Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
They
Exactly.
took a
I'm
page.
trying to
They took a
find okay,
page.
so what's going on with Dan Crenshaw? I don't even know if I have anything about him out up. I think I might have something about him. I've got to find it.
Old Eye Patch McCain. Old Eye Patch McCain. He's not my type of guy. He is. As a manlet at 5'6", I don't appreciate the damage he does to the reputation of fellow shorts. And I think he's like 5'7". Probably he's probably lying. He's probably like 5'3". I don't trust
I
a damn
didn't
thing that comes out of
realize
the
he
man's
was
mouth.
that short.
Oh, he's a shorty. He's a shorty. Yeah, yeah.
I'm
And
5'8".
yeah.
Damn.
Well, my wife's 5'9", so she's 3 inches taller than me. Tell her I
Oh,
married her
geez.
just so she could reach stuff I can't. But you know, with Dan Crenshaw, I don't know if you're gonna pull it up, but he recently
I'm
threatened
gonna
to
look for something.
he recently threatened to end Tucker Carlson because Dan Crenshaw is one of the most pathetic individuals. And just because you served in the military, yeah, I'm glad. Thank you for your service and all that. If you served honorably, that is, because I don't know the extent of his service. I don't know exactly, how he served. But I'm going to go ahead and assume that he served honorably, and I'm going to appreciate him for that. But I will say, maybe he lost his eye, not necessarily from an explosion or something like that. Maybe it was just the fact that he forgot to wash his hands after wiping his ass, and then he scratched his eye, and then it developed into a very, very serious case of pink eye, and that's how he lost his eye. At this point, that story makes more sense with the type of person that Dan Crenshaw is. He's one of the most petulant, pathetic, just I was going to say the cat word, but yeah, he is a disturbingly sad individual. And honestly, I do want him, even though I'm pissed at him and I don't like him, I do want him to seek help because the guy probably needs some help in some type of way,
He's
spiritual, psychological. He's been going off the rails over the past couple of years.
I
Uh,
I first saw him on Joe Rogan, and
mm,
he's okay, he seemed okay, but I
he
think
did
we're actually just seeing the real him with anger issues, rage. Yeah, I think
that.
it's just
Yeah,
coming forward.
that or that that or he did start out legit. Maybe he did because he seemed like he came out onto the scene strong, like solid individual. And I don't know how he
Mhm.
keeps getting elected after, especially after this
I
last the
I think
last
he was propped up by the deep state, and that's why he
it
got onto all those
yes.
podcasts.
Yes, that's probably what happened. And if this is the real him, I think he's honestly trying to lose his job. I think he's trying, like, I think he was trying to not win re-election at this point. And when he's just the way he comes across as such a smug twat. I'm sorry, but like he's such a
Very.
smug little jerk. That guy, some of the stuff that he comes off and says, and the way he talks to people,
Yeah.
that's a good way to
There's no
get
respect.
Just no, he's just petulant. Petulant is the word that comes to mind when I think of Dan Crenshaw, Eye Patch McCain, and Alex Stein. A few times Alex Stein has interacted with him. I lived vicariously through Pimp on a Blimp because it was great. But Dan Crenshaw, just get some help, bro. Get some help.
Yeah. Here's the video of that interaction where it was the hot mic where he said he wanted to unalive Tucker Carlson. Here it is.
Have you ever met Tucker?
We've talked a lot.
You can't. It's hard to hear it, but he does say, "Yeah, if I ever meet him, I want to kill him." And the guy
He said, "Not
said on
joking."
his Twitter, he said after he kind of laughed at it because he thought he was joking. He says, "No, I'm not joking."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
He says he's not joking.
"Ooh."
Anybody else in the country that's an actionable death threat. He should be investigated. He should be arrested. He should be charged for that. That is a death threat. But
You're just such a little loser.
Sorry, I got accident press play on that one, but we'll play that after you finish saying what you want.
But the messed up thing about Congress is they have such vast and expansive protections when it comes to saying some really reckless shit. The guy recently who talked about bringing actual weapons to fight against the Trump administration, that's not going to go. That should, if it was a citizen, a normal one of the plebs, one of us little people, we would be investigated immediately. But they have such broad protections for the things that they say because they are elected representatives, and it's honestly a travesty. That needs to be revamped. They should not be allowed to say some of the things that they say. They justify it as a campaigning or electioneering kind of, but that stuff needs to be addressed.
Yeah, this is the one where you're talking about Stein there. Alex Stein confronting him. Here's some of that footage.
Dan, you're just such a little loser. Yeah. Who's trying to grab my thing? Look, you're too slow. He's too slow, Navy SEAL. It's funny, Dan, how you said you're tall. I'm small, but I'm so much taller than you, Dan. I'm so much bigger than you. You're a little sad little boy. I'm the little one. Imagine me calling you out because you're a globalist. Oh, I got a job. I work for the Blaze. I make a lot of money. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do, Dan. Yeah, I make a lot of money. Yeah, I'm a loser.
War project. This is the guy who tells veterans that they're super.
Yeah, because those are weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist. So I'm anti-war.
Yeah. Served for
I'm anti-war because I don't believe. Did you guys find any weapons of mass destruction?
As a matter of fact, we did.
What weapons of mass destruction?
You're actually going to go down this route, Alex.
Yeah, because we don't have any weapons of mass destruction.
You're looking like a fool right now. You're telling veterans.
So Scott Ritter, the guy who had to go look for in weapons of mass destruction, says there was no weapons of mass destruction.
Money for Ukraine. We have a homelessness. We have so many issues here in America. Who cares more?
Yeah, let's go here. Let's see.
Oh, what are we up to now, Dan? And they even say none of those weapons even go to the front lines. So why don't you start caring about America?
Actually, they do.
You don't care about America at all, Dan. You're a globalist. You're a traitor. You're a dwarf. There's Dan Crenshaw. Come on.
He said you're a piece of shit. Embrace your dwarfhood, damn it. Embrace it. I embrace the manlets. The manlet tag.
There's also the fact that I think one of the biggest change is that Dan Crenshaw is very wealthy right now, and there's a lot of reports of insider trading.
Oh, but God, I barely make any money. Oh, we just work for nothing. We should just be slaves. Did you see that interview where he literally was getting they were talking about the stock stuff, and he's just, that's how he presented. He's like, oh, well, great. Yeah, cool. Vote for us not to be able to, do insider trading. It's great. I don't even make that much money in the stock market. And then the community notes came out, and the lie detector determined that in fact was a lie. Yeah, Crenshaw, you've made a lot of money in the stock market. You're a liar.
He's made a huge amount. And the fact that all of these people in Congress and wherever, they always just seem to hit gold. They just seem to make so much. And the rest of us are like, well, I didn't make any money.
Yeah. Yeah, because you don't have the right connections. You're not the right person. You don't have it's like Nancy Pelosi's stock tracker. There was a Tucker actually had on the guy who made the account, that Nancy Pelosi stock tracker. earlier today, I believe it was actually put out there. But when they get into Congress, they are allowed to do the insider trading because they like I said, they have a different set of rules. It is rules for thee, not for me, and it is just disgusting what they are allowed to get away with as far as being able to make death threats against people and say, oh, that they're protected because they're a member of
Don't they have,
Congress.
like, some kind of fund that helps for hush money?
Yes, it's a slush fund. They paid millions of dollars to keep people quiet for the various acts of sexual depravity that our Congress members get up to. Yes.
Wow.
Freaking, what is it? Madison Cawthorn, the dude in the wheelchair. He called it out. He just said, he goes, he goes, I just couldn't believe it. They actually invited me to this party and there was going to be a bunch of cocaine and blowing like hookers. And he's like, I don't know. And then Mitch McConnell and all the deep state, all the establishment Republicans got together to make sure that he would not have a chance to roll back into office. And they wheeled his ass out. Yes, I'm making wheelchair puns, but he was a real one. He was, and they got pictures of him being silly with some guy friends on a cruise wearing a bra. Ooh.
Oh,
We
no.
get some pictures of what you guys do on some maybe large stone platforms. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty disturbing. Pretty damn disturbing. And then but then Dan Crenshaw coming out and just saying that so candidly and saying I'm not joking. But did you see Tucker Carlson's response?
Yeah, he invited him on his show.
He said, hey, here's my I'll give you my address. You want to come see how that works out for you? I'll interview you. Yeah. Crenshaw can't do it. Did you see in that with Alex Stein? What did he do? He could not handle the one-on-one interaction, and he went to go get buddies. He's one of those.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that in high school, instead of handling an issue one-on-one with an individual that you had a problem with, he would get a bunch of his
Yeah.
buddies together to jump somebody, and that's the
Yeah,
type of guy
yeah.
he looks like he is.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know, he obviously has a little man syndrome, and Alex Stein, not everybody who's shorter has that. He obviously does, and Alex Stein knows it. That's why he keeps calling him a
Oh
dwarf.
yeah. Oh yeah. He can't stand it. He can't stand it. Just you got to embrace the short. Embrace the fact that you're a midget. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be anything else other than who you are and what you're born as. Like, I'm not going to have different hands, or, well, I suppose I could have a different nose, but no thanks, no plastic surgery. I just want to say this: is it just me, or has anybody else out there noticed that? Yeah, they say liberal politicians are kind of homely, but I'm noticing a lot of the Republican women. They're kind of sexier looking, but they all look like they have that leather plastic surgery stretch duck face. I'm just noticing there's a lot of women with plastic surgery in the Republican Party.
Oh, there's
Laura,
probably is.
like, you can tell Melania's got plastic surgery. You can tell Laura Trump's got plastic surgery. There was that one who was dating whatever. He was
Oh my
dating Donald
God,
Jr. She has
Kimberly Guilfoyle. She
tons.
went
Oh my
straight. She went
God.
plastic bimbo. She went with the bimbo look, which it's a look. If that's your thing, that's your thing. Have fun with that, honey. And I'm not judging, but she went way too far. And when the duck lips thing were so pronounced, it's like just a little bit less, maybe.
I'm
Although
just
wait, Pam Bondi
noticing there's
though.
a
Pam,
look that everybody wants, and it's like they're all
Mhm.
going to the same person.
I will say though, I don't think Alina Habba has had much work done, if any. Alina Habba, she looks like she's pretty natural. She might have some cheek filler.
Yeah.
But she looks Alina Habba. I'm just, just saying.
Yeah,
She's
no, she looks good. I mean, the most I could see her having is a little spray tan and maybe a little shot of Botox. Like,
Yep.
she's just, those are her natural features. But there's some of them where I'm just like, God, you guys, everyone's starting to look carved up. I remember years ago, I was in North Carolina. With a friend, we drove down to South Carolina. He used to work for a plastic surgeon's office, and went to an opera. He's my gay friend. And he would point out all the Southern women he'd be like, plastic surgery, scar there, this, there, this. He could see it all. And I was like, oh my God. He's like, almost every chick in this room has had some plastic surgery. I can see them. I see you. It was funny. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be like this trendy thing not to have plastic surgery. You're going to be like this. Eventually you're going to be like this. Wow. I'm like, I don't have any. like I'm unique.
When everyone's special, nobody is. Whenever when everyone's got the plastic surgery, it's like, oh, the ones that
Well,
are natural, it's going to be sought after.
yeah, it's like liberal women. They all full of like 5,000 tattoos and nose rings and all that stuff. It's like if you don't have that, you're like they consider you weird. Like,
Yeah. And I mean, for people
whew,
who do have the means and they want to tighten some stuff up, I'm not necessarily just do it in a
uh-uh.
classy way. There's a classy way to get a little touch up here and there, I suppose. I'm
I'm
not
not
hating
against it.
necessarily on it,
It's
but if you're
just
when the people that go
extreme.
overboard with it and like you start like even like Matt Gaetz. You remember when Matt Gaetz when he got his Botox and was on the remember how freaking he was just, his face was all
Yeah,
stretched back and it's calmed down. It's calmed down since then. But like
yeah.
even some of the men in the conservative, they're really getting after it.
Well, look at
But I will
Joe.
say
Joe
some of those.
Biden definitely had some. Joe
Well,
Biden, he had
he's got
some.
that thing. He's got that thing like the cockroach alien. Whenever he put Marv on, and he had to take his skin and grabbed his skin and then pulled it back. For Men in
Oh,
Black. From
oh
Men in,
yeah,
do you
yeah,
remember?
yeah,
Yeah, that scene from Men in Black where he takes
yeah.
his grabs the back of his head and pulls his skin. That's Joe Biden.
Well, speaking of weird Democrats, we've got some Eric Swalwell stuff to play here. Apparently, he was caught. He was kind of bumbled in drunk to this reporter Nick Sorter's dinner, and he literally went on half an hour with a gross rant about orgies and
Yeah.
he's been abusing his power in the House with the Intel Committee. He's saying he said an exclusive. He says, Eric Swalwell panics when I ask about his Chinese spy girlfriend, but he said, I sat next to drunk Swalwell at dinner for 90 minutes. He was immediately compromised by a group of lobbyists he just met, spilling intimate details about his job and asking for help cheating on his wife. He's a massive national security threat. This guy should have his clearances revoked. Swalwell spent his dinner bragging about orgies on Capitol Hill, telling them he's bored of his wife and only wants to F10s. Worse, he spoke about abusing his power on the House Intel Committee, which he's since been booted off of, saying he pushed to subpoena Ivanka Trump because she's hot as F. Wow. This guy must be removed from the Homeland Security Committee. He cannot keep his mouth shut. And I mean, here's the video. He's confronting him.
So, Congressman, you referred to Elon Musk as a fascist at some point and alluded to him being a national security threat. Do you see that more of a national security threat, you sleeping with a Chinese spy, than transparency in the federal government? What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on that? What's Fang Fang think of that?
What are you doing?
What's fascistic about exposing government corruption? I mean, I know you're just at dinner now with a bunch of lobbyists. They're buying you a bunch of booze, and that's awfully nice. I know you were talking about, maybe finding somebody else because you only have to fuck people that are tens. I just heard that one too.
Wow.
So what do you think about that? Do you want to
Sorry
comment
for
on
the
any of
language,
it?
people.
Elon Musk is a national security threat, but you sleeping with a Chinese spy is not. Is that correct?
It's going to be a
You don't want
hard
to comment
job.
on that at all? Looks like guilty as charged.
Barely made it. He barely made it to the car. He was trashed.
Wow.
Absolutely trashed. Fartwell, as I like to call him, he's a great gaseous gaff of a person. Yes, I'm making fart jokes. Do you know why I'm making fart jokes?
No. Is there a fart? Is there something to
Look
do with
up
him and
look up
fart?
Swalwell fart interview. For the love of God. Now.
Does he
He
fluff out one?
he does it. He raises up in between syllables of a word, raises up and just rips one in an interview, and the mic picks it up splendidly. Look up interview with Eric Fartwell or Swalwell farting.
Okay, guys, here we go. Okay, I'm gonna pause this. We're gonna turn this up. I'm gonna put this into bigger and bring this back. Let's hear this. Let's hear Fartwell.
The evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the complaint that I've heard from the evidence.
Oh wow, that's awkward.
Yeah,
That's,
and that's
wow,
why
that's awkward.
that's why I had fart puns. Now you know. Now you were probably like, what is Bill talking about? And now you know. I have the humor of a 12-year-old, by the way.
I missed the fart interview when it happened. I had no idea he was known for his flatulence.
Yep, famous flatulence. Yes. It was rough. It was rough. When it happened, I'm just like, "Oh, this is great. This is so great." That's why I saw Trader Todd earlier in the chat did the little puff clouds. I'm like, he knew what was up.
So basically this guy is basically just a weak character. He's my husband's laughing at the fart. My husband just put us laugh in a fart cloud.
Yes, you're
I
welcome.
he's just there's something he like yeah, he's a risk. He's a security risk.
Well, and he literally was sleeping with with a Chinese spy. It was, I guess I like Fang Fang because then you can, say that Eric was he was bang bang and Fang Fang, but it's actually Fong Fong apparently is how you pronounce it. But I'm gonna
Fong
make it
fong.
funny. Yeah, but yeah, he was literally sleeping with a Chinese spy, and he's on the intel committee. It's mind blowing that he still is allowed. Like, it shouldn't be a thing. But they have to do a vote, and I know they kicked Ilhan Omar off recently, and I think I forgot which committee she was on. She might have been the Intel committee as well, um, but they should not let people like that who are literally compromised, severely compromised by foreign influences in such a blatant way. They shouldn't let them stay there. But oh, Miss Minniebell, that
Yes,
was real. That was
it was
absolutely real.
real.
That
It
happened
was real. He's known
years ago
for
when
it.
Chris Matthews was still on TV.
Wow. I guess he thought he might sneak out a silent one, but
You don't risk that. You don't risk that on live TV, and he did. He must have been sitting on like a wooden chair or something. That was bad.
well, he's obviously the king of denial if he can get through that.
He powered through it. He powered through it. I'll give him that. He powered through it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, but yeah, he's a truly noxious presence in DC. Hmm.
Well, and now
Yeah.
we know. I mean, he's admitted basically to orgies and drugs and crazy stuff,
Hmm.
within the Capitol building. And we already seen the video of weird sex stuff from like in the Biden administration. There was all that stuff coming out about people having bee sex in the Capitol and weird stuff and
Oh
pictures and stuff like
yeah.
that.
I actually did a freaking.
I'm
That was
trying not to
before.
get us banned on
Oh,
YouTube. I'm like,
Oh,
bee.
there was they got into some really dark places in the Senate chambers. There was a lot of flexibility that was needed for the interactions that were taking place in the Senate chambers. Let's say that. I actually did. It was before I was live streaming. Actually, I did a standalone video in my garage when I saw the news. Like I was out in my garage by my refrigerator, holding my phone up, just to talk about it and make a bunch of really stupid puns. Um, because good God, it literally, and they put it on. They put it on tape. It was on the internet. Eh, They with and that. I mean, I'm not trying to transition into the next topic here. There's a moment, but the depravity that is present in government is they're so um ballsy, let's say, with it that they don't even think that they're going to be checked. They don't even there's not
I
a thought in their mind that they will be
so
called out on their depravity. So they just do
yeah.
it.
I honestly think, Bill, that our culture as a whole has become so depraved that there's a lot of normalization of this, whereas 40 years ago, even gay relation that wouldn't have been normalized. And I'm not trying to be mean to gay people or anything like that or anybody, but I think we've normalized too much stuff, and that's why they're just like, what? Doesn't everybody do cocaine and fart on the news and have orgies and do spies
Cheat on your wife
isn't
for those
everybody yeah
tens.
and yeah, and isn't everybody just a scumbag? Like they don't even consider themselves scumbag. They just consider that a Tuesday. That's what's really weird.
Yeah, yeah, because it is normalized. It is that, and there are people there are normal gays, and then there are what we've been seeing in the rainbow mafia over the last few years that has just pushed things farther and farther. When I talk to my normal gay friends, they are disgusted with some of the things that they see.
Mhm.
They are disgusted with the fact that there are pride parades where they literally have people in what's called pup gear being walked and being
So
walked up to children, and children are petting them. You are involving children in your fetish. Stop it. That's not what it's about. That's not consensual, and it's not appropriate. I don't
I
care
am
what you
all for
do in bedroom.
I'm all for public shaming these people. Like I think we should like I'm all for just being like I don't know how you put put it Pandora back in the box. I don't know what happens if society collapses. It's why I think a lot of MAGA people are pro-Russia right now, not because they necessarily like Putin, but they admire him because he's bringing the Christian faith back and he stands up against this stuff and says, no way. And I think conservatives respect that.
Shit, Rusty Rivers, good Lord, stop it. Yes, exactly, Rusty. But my chat gets a little wild. Sorry.
That's so good.
It's Rumble. Rumble is.
I mean, we brought these weird. I mean, that's the topic about depravity. So I mean, what do we expect?
It is. But yeah, they were absolutely doing that, and I think that what worries me is that you look at what happened before the Nazism thing started to become prevalent in Germany. You look at what was going on in the Weimar Republic. You looked at what was going on with these clinics, some of the first transitioning clinics. You know, Hirschfeld, Hirschfeld, and then was it Mansfield as well? Was that the other one? They were doing some disgusting Frankenstein-like things, and the parallels with right before that happened in Germany. And what's been happening with our culture now freaks me the hell out, because I don't want to see such a dramatic pendulum swing end up resulting in something to where women have to cover their tops of their heads. And an ultra nationalist Christian, I'm a pretty strong religious individual and a strong Christian, but I don't want to have a culture that is, you know, you have to have, you know, like the freaking covering your heads and just be completely cloaked and all, you know, you can't show any skin. You have to, you know, not eat certain hooved animals. And like, I don't want that. I want normalcy to come back, but I don't want an extra hard pendulum swing
in Germany
that results in horrible shit.
You know, like you were talking about the Weimar Republic, a lot of people say, oh, the Nazis were book burning, and they were actually burning books that were trans, perverted, sexual stuff. I'm not going to say who was writing them. I'm going to be polite, and we won't go there because I don't want to get banned or accused of you know what. But there was some pretty, they were banning some pretty graphic, disgusting stuff. And they always word salad and gaslight us and say, oh, you're just banning stuff. Like Florida didn't even ban books. They just said, you can't have this around children in the schools. You want to go get it? Go in a store. Nothing was banned, but they called that a ban because they want these Marxists, queer Marxists, want access to your children to mess them up, to mess their gender identity up. And they want
they sang a song about it
in the school.
They sang a song about it. You remember that? The choir, look at the choir from California talking about "We're coming for your children." Look that up real quick.
They're chanting it. Yeah.
They said, they literally sang a song, "We're coming for your children." It's right. That's what we're going to do. We're going to make them accepting of us. Like, that's what they say. And it's because they might, well, go ahead with what you're going to say here. But like,
well, the reason is they're obviously against capitalism, and they feel that the root of capitalism is the binary gender, male, female, family, and your children are considered property, which is capitalist. So they want to take your children away from you and put them in some big commune, confuse their gender identity, because they don't want you to have them as property, because they don't want you to be able to hand wealth down to them, because that's capitalist.
Yep. They want anything to do with the traditional family structure, the nuclear family, that is antithetical to their worldview. You can even go back to the BLM stuff. It was literally in their mission statement to get rid of the traditional nuclear family because they're trained Marxists. They are absolutely Marxist. And I think it ends up, people ask, why do they keep going after the kids? And I think part of it is I get a little bit, I think there's a demonic influence in it. And I think that when you have that, evil wants to seek out that which is pure, that which is innocent, and it wants to corrupt it because it cannot stand things being pure and innocent. It wants to infect that with the depravity, with the darkness, with that influence entity, if you will. And that's where I got to start going ahead and put my tinfoil hat on, because we're at that point.
Well, we're getting into the story we're going to talk about was broken by Christopher R. Rufo and his I'm just going to put up an image of that we have there. The whistleblower. There's a trans cult inside the NSA.
Now, is this the Zizians? Are they attached to the Zizians?
Different. They're not attached. The Zizians have been arrested. I updated that yesterday. They've been arrested.
Yes.
They
Good.
were arrested. They found them. They probably murdered 6 people in 3
Yep.
different states. They have been arrested. One of the Zizians broke off years ago from it and is in hiding because for fear of their life, they broke away from the cult.
Mhm.
And they're all weird trannies. This is different. These are people inside of the NSA that they were discovered that they were literally getting paid and they were running a chat room with all sorts of depravities. So we've got some. Let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger. I don't know if I can. I'm gonna pop this one here up. I've got it's actually from that, and this is what he talked to a whistleblower that's within the actual NSA, and he's telling them about this Marxist. We were just talking about hating capitalism, all that stuff. And Rufo says, it seems like this is a clique of a very activist, male to female transgender image. Tell me about this community. A whistleblower says, there is a very small number of them, but they wield an enormous amount of power. And outside of the sick stuff, you also see a prevalent Marxist philosophy going on with these people in their chat rooms. They hate capitalism. They hate Christians. They're always espousing social and Marxist belief. I say they're queer capitalists, and queer doesn't mean gay or lesbian. Queer, they don't want any gender, by the way, guys. He puts, I know several people at the agency brought up like that. Hey, we're here to fight for the USA and go after the adversaries. And they just got hammered. They would just start coming out with transphobe, homophobe right away or calling you a racist. And that's why a lot of folks are still hesitant to say anything because you still have these people in the agencies in key spots. They've infected everything. And then the whistleblower goes on to say, Rufo wants to know, in your view, does such focus on DEI and trans ideology grade the actual intelligence activities? And he says, it does, because you have people more focused on this ideology, and the folks that are into this don't put their effort into their work. I don't care if you're politically left or right. You can't have an unbiased mind if you're writing a report, and you're constantly focused on how does this apply to my gender ideology? Because when you do that, it's going to get people killed in the field because you're focused on the ideology and not what the heck is actually happening for that. So you've got these people that are applying their ideology on top of everything, and they are literally not dealing with reality and what they're supposed to be doing.
No, and they were characterizing it as DEI initiative support, pretty much, from what I understand. That's how they were couching it. But it's literally just, if you read through some of the chats, it is depraved. It is disgusting. And it's honestly got autogynephilia. That's what a lot of these people are. That's what they have. They get their rocks off to the idea of transitioning, to the idea of becoming a woman. I would say mutilating your body. I call that process the fillet of phallus, because if you look into the way that that's actually done, it's not necessarily chopping. It's more of a splitting and then inversion. It's the fillet of phallus.
So it's gross.
It's gross. It's like I said.
Okay, so
it's
I don't know
Frankenstein.
how you can be a guy and imagine that happening to your private areas and want to do that without like wanting to vomit or convulse at the concept.
They're so mentally ill, and I have sympathy for the mentally ill. And one of the sad things, as a student of psychology, I am so mad at the quote unquote professionals in my field of study who have decided to affirm mental illness, because it is a mental illness. The ones that are actually gender dysphoric need help. They do need help, and I want them to seek treatment. I don't want their delusions affirmed and then their body parts destroyed. Now, that being said, if you're truly gender dysphoric and you're an adult and you want to spend the money and go through that process of having that done to you, that is your right, and I don't expect the government to pay for it. And don't expect
I'm not going to promote it, and I'm not going to endorse it, because I think that's why we're here where we are, is because everyone said, oh, just okay. I think a little public shaming is needed. And I also think the psychology is infiltrated with all these people too. They get everywhere and they start changing the definition of words, and they start saying, that's not a mental illness. We got to change that. This is pedophilia is an orientation. It's just a new expression. They're really clever with their language.
Well, what you just said about changing the words, right? Miss Minnie Mel, I typically have a rant meter that I use on my show. I pull up a graphic and it has Gur-o-meter or Rage-o-meter, and when I go off, I'll pop it up. But,
that's clever.
Because I do a little bit ranting. I get spicy from time to time. But what you said about the words, right? What I learned whenever I was studying in college was that there was a difference between gender and sex, right? That sex was the physical and gender was the mental aspect of it. And they have pushed so far past that because that's what they said. It was like, I mean, I guess that's kind of how I was like, okay, I guess. Now everybody is doing this AFAB or AMAB, assigned female at birth or assigned male at birth. The amount of intersex individuals is so incredibly minute that you are being such an inconsiderate ass when you do that, when you say assigned female at birth. No, you're typically either male or female. You're XY or XX. That's what happens. The very, very tiny percentage of those individuals, yes, we should be compassionate to them, for sure. But they're not going to control the rest of the conversation.
No. And we don't
They
need to
shouldn't.
fulfill their fantasies. We need to
No.
tell them reality. I
Yeah.
personally think that, okay, ever since the 60s, you can see the numbers. Kids have spent less time with their family and more time with their peers. That's one problem because everything's
Yep.
trendy. Mothers aren't in the home. Kids are raised
Yep.
in daycare. Kids are raised in school. I think this is part of the evolution and Marxist evolution of this stuff is to get kids away. I think the disintegration slowly of the family is a huge reason why people have mental health issues. I'm not saying that there weren't abusive families out there and that you don't need problems, but that this is not the solution.
Yeah.
I'm going to pop up one of the conversations here. We're covering half our faces, but this is from Christopher Rufo as well. It says, according to our sources, the sex chats were legitimized as part of the NSA's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Activists within the agencies used LGBTQ plus employee resource groups to turn their kinks and pathologies into official work duties. According to the current NSA employee, these groups spent all day recruiting activists and holding meetings with titles such as privilege, ally, awareness, pride, transgender community inclusion, and they did so with the full support of NSA leadership, which declared that DEI was not only mission critical, but mission imperative. I'm pretty sure you could turn this into a friggin' Monty Python skit, having all these trannies going out for intelligence and war with Russia, yelling that stuff, and the Russians are like, what the fuck? This could be a Monty Python skit if the people of Monty Python probably didn't support this now.
Oh, they probably do. They probably do. It's by the way, SV Hornet, it is not my daughter's room. I just happen to have daughters, and there are stuffed animals on the bed. True. But there is a big deer right there. I got that 8-point buck, and there's a fish on the wall. All right. I'm trying my best to combat the female energy. But but no, they sorry to step on the whole the point there that they made in the article about them lying about what they were actually doing, talking about the way in government, the way it works is it's all on how you write it up. It's all on how you write it up. And they will do some seriously messed up stuff like they were doing in these chats, and they will paint it with this, this lovely brush, when in reality it wasn't paint, it was shit that they were using. It was a shit painting. Sorry. It's what it is. It's what it is. And they, I completely understand. I completely empathize with what you were saying earlier about the live and let live. I'm not for the live and let live, because the live and let live, they ended up pushing it farther and farther. When you give them a millimeter, they take 100 miles, and then you end up with the pride parades doing the slippery slope was real. They say there was a fallacy, right? They said slippery slope was a fallacy. It's absolutely not a fallacy. It is reality. It is noticing a pattern and acknowledging that the pattern exists and that there will be steps that are taken to continue the pattern. That's what it is. Because that's
the
what's
leaders
happening.
above them. There's the people on the street, they don't know. There's the leaders above them, and they just create all this stuff. Like, just tell them they're a bigot, just tell them they're racist, just tell them they're white supremacists. That's just, you're just gonna shut that down.
Their words have no more power, though.
I don't even care if they call me a Nazi now.
Go for it.
Like,
fuck it. It doesn't matter. Everybody's and here's the thing. When people call people Nazis, you're delegitimizing what happened with that movement. You're shitting on everybody who is genocided. So that's just annoying. And it reminds me, it's like your words have no power over me, witch. Like, it's
yeah. I'm popping that link I'm popping the link from Chris Ruffa. It's a whole thread. He's got all the discussions.
Oh
So
my
then, I
gosh.
mean, the NSA is literally legitimizing this kink, disgusting behavior as official work stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And they're supposed to be disciplined for it, apparently, but it clearly was not. They
So
clearly
like,
were not.
like the NSA, they do the airport stuff, right?
Say again?
That what's the NSA's job again? Security
National Security
or
Administration? No,
intelligence?
that's TSA. That's TSA. The
That's
airport's
TSA. I'm
TSA.
getting the
Yeah, yeah,
TSA.
yeah.
TSA.
NSA,
Okay.
National Security Administration. So like that's like the threats to the nation.
Right.
And
Right.
but yeah, yeah, it is a. Hmm, let's see.
Yeah, people don't want their taxpayer money, but you want people who are actually doing real intelligence work and security.
Mm-hmm.
If
Yeah, it would
their
be nice
mind
if
is
they
filled
actually did
with
the job.
this, if their mind is filled with this and this is what they're doing all day, they actually are useless to the country and they're weakening the country.
Well, and look at the guy Sam. I forgot his last name, but the the drag guy or the trans dude who was stealing ladies' clothes from the airport. Sam, I
Oh,
can't remember his last name.
him.
You know who I'm
Yeah, that
talking about?
crazy
He was
guy.
working
Yeah.
with nuclear secrets. It's like that guy. That's the guy you pick. It's like he's literally a kleptomaniac for just females' clothing, and
Yeah.
that's not
He can't.
okay.
That's so weird.
These
He can't
people.
even buy his own. He has to steal it.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, the dude was making good money. I mean, he had a good gig what he was doing, but they it's in part of it is the whole DEI push, which I don't like to call it DEI. I like to call it DIE because when you focus on DEI, your culture, your country, it dies. That's what
Mhm.
happens, and it the push that they have had to get rid of qualified candidates in order to put these rainbow mafia like individuals up there, I can't help but think that it's intentional in an effort to break down the structures of our government, to break down the structures of society so that we end up with an amorphous blob.
Why
Because
would our
like,
government want to do that, though? It makes them weak. Why would they do that?
well, it infects the rest of the culture. When you damage the culture so severely, they're going to be able to keep their power because the people are going to be complacent, docile, and dumb. That's
Okay.
what they've
But
been doing.
okay, but do you know, here's the thing, here's the trick. The joke's on them because it's a mind virus. Eventually it will affect them. It affects everybody. It doesn't just contain. So it's not just us who become dumb. Their kids and everybody else eventually becomes dumb and infected with it. We're
True.
not like in a little self-contained area. We're all actually, I believe we're all connected and thoughts skip. And so you're like, haha, we'll be able to control them. But I believe all these kids, all these people be infected. Bill Gates thinks he's messing us over. His kids will suffer from it eventually. Eventually.
Well, one of the things that's cool about the youth is they do typically, a lot of the times they'll rebel against the current trends and the current norms. So one of the things that actually does give me a little bit of hope, let's be a little bit less black pilled here for a second from my perspective. One of the things that
Mhm.
has given me hope is seeing how some of these kids in high school or in middle school are reacting to these crazy teachers talking about their pronouns. And they're just like, why are we learning this? I don't care. How
Yeah.
about you teach me? Like kids, like 12 and 13-year-old mad lad, little based bros coming up. And I'm just like, maybe there's hope for this next generation. Maybe they'll come back. But I
Mhm.
really hope it's not that pendulum swing that they saw in Germany.
Well, do you know in Germany, it was women who were voting for the extreme left. It was all young men who are voting for the right wings. So I as a woman,
Oh,
especially a young woman, when I was
yeah.
younger, I'm older, I'm Gen X older now. I am like really thinking women are they're they're presenting a really big problem because they're emotionally charged, they're thinking illogically, and I don't know, I just think they're easily to manipulate.
You're saying a certain 19th Amendment might need to be revoked? I don't know. What? No.
I don't want to say that, but there's some women who are voting on for
It's
people and for things and who get into office who are not logical and they are not serving the base structure of our country. You can't just abandon the foundation and move off to la la fairyland where you hack our bodies up and everything is about being nice and you always have to keep that foundation going. You always have to
you
feed
do.
it. you can't spread ourselves too thin. There's just something wrong with these women. They're just stupid. And they think I'm dumb. They're like, you're not. You're a hillbilly. You probably let your husband do whatever you want. I'm like, no, I'm actually not. You're dumb. You think when Justin Trudeau says the budget will balance itself, you think that's a brilliant statement. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
Mhm. Well,
That's
and
how they
my
think.
God, well, and here's the thing, my God, God forbid there ever be a culture that empowers men to be the leaders of their household in a spiritual and in a certain ways. I'm not saying do whatever you want, but men typically are supposed to be the leaders of the household in very important ways. You're supposed to set the tone as a man. That's just, and we as
Mm,
men, it's not toxic masculinity to shoulder burdens. It's
no.
not. We are expected to do that, and it is okay for men to do that. But when the third wave feminists want to act like men, but then have none of the responsibilities that come along with that, like for instance, the draft, men have to sign up for that. Women, or at least until they might
I
have
don't
voted on
like
that
that.
recently.
I
It's
don't
if
want
you're
my
gonna if you
son being
want
drafted.
no, and especially, and I would absolutely, we'd be a conscientious objector for my family, because I do not respect what the military has done. I do not respect what this government has done as far as military incursions. If you look into Operation Gladio, you look into what all things that our country has done and other countries across the world when they get involved in stuff that they don't need to be involved with, it is nothing but putting souls into the meat grinder, and I think that there's a reason for it. I get my tinfoil hat back on for a second here, but I tend to think that there might be a reason that these wars have to happen. These people up in high positions, it's almost like they are mandated to sacrifice a certain number of people for favor with certain energies or entities. I don't know. Let's go ahead and put the hat off now. Got that out the way. But like it's like when you try to rationalize it, it doesn't seem like there's any real reason behind it other than the power that they gain from it. And it looks like a blood sacrifice. That's what it looks like.
Mhm.
And you know, I don't know. Maybe that's a little bit too foil
Hey,
hatty,
we got
but
some interesting commentary. We got someone saying my daughter's school covered Pizzagate. Blew my mind. Wow.
fascinating.
That
Fascinating. They
is
acted like
fascinating, Rusty Rivers.
there was way more to that, and I mean, I'm just saying they can really clean up a scene really quickly and do a lot of quick construction, but I don't know. The even if Cosmic Pizza, if it wasn't in that closet, there clearly was some lingo going on about the cheese pizza. And when you look into like Chrissy Teigen talking about going to get arrested for some cheese pizza and all the lingo that they have for kids and the trafficking network, and then now all that's coming out with P Diddy and the Epstein stuff, it's like, um, you know, uh, maybe you shouldn't just mock people when they say something horrible is happening. Maybe not.
Well, it sounds crazy, right? Smuggling
Mhm.
kids through pizza, like it sounds crazy. And when you've got someone like Alex Jones going, "The frogs are gay," everyone's like, "What the hell?" Like his delivery gets attention, but it does look a little.
Turn of the freaking frogs gay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It comes across crazy. So I'm like, it's about delivery. But look,
Hmm.
I do shows on MK Ultra and Jim Jones and Ted Bundy and Psychos. It's dark. I can only do so much of it. But we are all brainwashed and we've all been put through this system. And
Yep.
it's like we think the news is telling us the truth. We think the system is there to tell us the truth and help us figure things out. And it's just not. And it's a hard realization to have. Once you start realizing it, you might even want to go back to the security of it and ignore it because it can be so shocking.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's why I started podcasting, I think, years ago, but I did it on a totally different topic because I was like, I may not be a professional, I may not read a script, I may not be educated, I may not be a Barbie doll, but I think I could put some information out there that's more valuable than this garbage that they call
Yep.
news. That is basically everybody parroting the same centralized intelligence brainwashing.
Yeah.
And people don't realize it. It's hypnotic. They
Hmm.
think it is real. They think the baddies are over there and they're being told the truth and we're the goodies.
There's a lot of baddies on both sides. Most of the time, it's two sides of the same coin. What bothers me most about it is it's the Hegelian dialectic on full display. Our country or multiple countries will rail against something when in reality they're actually starting the issue or contributing to the issue.
Yeah.
It's the firefighters
What
going around starting the fires and
what do
then
they
saying, "Look at
say?
how good we are for putting out the fire," right?
95% of terrorism is started by the CIA or Mossad or Israel, even in
Yes.
Gaza. Everyone gets mad at
Uh-huh.
me when I say this. You can get
It's
upset, you can
true.
hate my fucking guts, but Israel started Hamas. They fed it's like putting Al
Literally.
Capone in the Gaza and just letting him run rampant and going, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, here's some money. They started that in
Mhm.
the 80s. People get so angry at me, and because there's a lot of mega people who don't like they're pro-Israel, and I understand that, but I'm like, "I'm sorry,
Yeah.
the people of Israel are fine, their government and the
Yes.
Mossad is
That's
just like our CIA. Come
literally.
on,
And
it's
and
war."
that's the problem. That's the problem. People would think that anytime it's like back with the whole China virus thing. People were like, "Oh, would shout racist at you." It's like I'm just because I'm talking about the issues that the government of China and the Chinese Communist Party elicits doesn't mean that I hate the Chinese people. There's a difference. And the fact that you're jumping to that conclusion is quite telling.
Mhm,
And it's a very bull crap assumption that you're making about me as a person. And that literally ended a friendship that I had. Somebody like
mhm,
literally called me
mhm.
a racist for calling it like saying that the China virus wasn't a racist thing to say. And I just eventually had to just cut the dude off because there is something, and this, not Bible thumping here, but there is something that is called the reprobate mind. When somebody is so absorbed with evil or sin or nefarious influence that there is no point in interacting with that individual when they're in that current fallen state. There is no point. It will do you no good. It will do them no good. That doesn't necessarily mean that you close the door completely. You leave it open if they can demonstrate that they have the ability to not be in that state of fallenness and actually want to entertain a conversation, because there are people that wake up. There are people that after years of
Mhm.
whatever debauchery or nonsense that they've been exposed to on a psychological level, that they get snapped out of it. Even if it's for a brief moment, they come up for air. And if you can be there and be like, "Hey,
Yeah,
bud," like that's
I
good.
know.
It's good to have that.
Well, sometimes a lot of people, they don't see it because it hasn't affected them yet, and then when it does, they're like, "Oh,
Yep.
wow." And some people, it doesn't matter, they just go like this, like, I'm sure with
Hmm.
people under communist rule, they knew bad stuff was happening, but there's nothing they could do. If they said something, it could mean death or a gulag or their kids were taken away, so they just looked down and kept going. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. And
it's
it's the
so
frog in the
crazy.
boiling pot. The frog in the boiling pot example as well. What's up, Kang? Good to see you, bud.
So what do you I just wanna wrap up, we've been a little over an hour. What do you think should be done about I'm like, this stuff in the NSA, I think you're gonna find this stuff everywhere, and it's like a disease.
Hmm.
It's worse than COVID. It's all throughout everything. That was a real virus. COVID wasn't the virus. COVID wasn't the thing that was gonna kill us all. This stuff is everywhere, and I
Yes.
think the more they dig, it's probably gonna get more devastating. I mean, what can we all do? Like, I don't know if there's any solutions.
Sunshine is the best disinfectant. Expose these people. Expose them. Put them on blast. Don't let their names stay redacted. Show them for what they are and remove them. I know Tulsi Gabbard came out and said that any like a couple hundred, I think, or at least 100 people were involved or something like that, and she said that they're going to be terminated immediately. I think you should go ahead and publicly shame them. State who they were,
Yeah.
state what they did, and state what things that they weren't getting done when they were
Yeah.
involved in these depraved sex chats. Talk
'Cause they
about what
took
they were actually
taxpayer
supposed to be
dollars.
doing exactly, and that's why
Could
I'm
you imagine?
perfectly okay with $5,000 coming back to the
Could
taxpayers.
could you
It's not a
imagine if they
stimulus.
Could you imagine if they answered Elon's email of 5 things they did this week? Oh, no.
Talked about how great it was to get my new hormone HRT or hormone therapy, fake boobs, and talking about how great it feels to actually have the physical things happening with that down there, and how it elates them and makes them feel euphoria whenever they get to actually tinkle like a lady. It's like,
Yeah. The
oh
messages are
God.
creepy, guys. You gotta go
Ugh.
look up Christopher Rufo on X. He's
Yes.
got the story. Him and I wanna give credit to his, because Grossman Hannah, She is Hannah Grossman. She helped break this story as well. So Christopher Rufo and Hannah Grossman, go check them out on X. All right. I mean, I appreciate you coming in. Tie this up. Is there any last thing you want to say, or where can people find you? Or I know a lot of your people are here today. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Appreciate you guys. And for the most part, guys, the Dozer Den has behaved very well. Thank you so much for that, guys. So, guys, to Melissa's audience, if you have not seen me yet, I am Bill Dozer 74 on Rumble. I am currently at 697 followers on Rumble, and I am striving to hit 1,000 followers by April. I think we can make it happen. But follow me over there on Rumble at BillDozer74. You can follow me on X at BillDozer74 __, or just search Dozer74. I stream Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 9:30 p.m. Central. Usually cover about 3 to 4 news topics and then have a palate cleanser. Saturday streams are a more chill stream. I'll have a topic and then we will do music video requests. I am actually going to be adding a 4th stream with being in the creator program now with Rumble. I'm a little excited about that, and it kind of inspired me a little bit. So I've been mentioning that I might start streaming on Tuesdays as well. Not sure if that's going to start next week or not, because I have a work conference that I'm going to, and I will be bringing my gear with me to the hotel room. So I don't know how it's going to go, but it's going to happen. But I am going to be adding a 4th stream per week. And, if people want to have me on their shows, hopefully I have not been too crazy tonight and I haven't scared anybody off.
No.
But,
Dude,
if you want to,
if that's what we have to put up with the NSA, I think you're fine.
Absolutely. But yeah, follow me in all the places. Follow Melissa as well, Gen X on X, or Gen X News on X. Freaking
Just
great
go to
content,
Gen X.
really cool
Just go to
topics.
Gen X. Just go to genxonx.com website and you'll find it there. And also, everybody, Bill's in the show notes, Bill's X and his Rumble are linked, so you can go there as well.
Just hit 3,400 followers on X, by the way. Actually, 3,420.
Sweet deal. Sweet deal.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's great. I'm going to put you in the off screen and I'll tie this up. Here we go. All right, guys. I really appreciate you guys coming around. I'm going to have a stream tomorrow. I'm doing I'm the documentary queen. I watch them all the time and I do a lot of MK Ultra. I'm doing a docu-stream at 8 p.m. I might start a little sooner, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to go through MK Ultra, Jim Jones, and the CIA. Got a documentary to go through about that. We're going to talk about Jim Jones again and how he was totally a CIA agent and working for the CIA. 100%, no doubt about it. We're going to go through that. So please join me. Remember, the website's there, Gen X on X. All the links to the streams are there. All the links to the audio podcast are there. The link to the Substack. It's all on my website. I've got everything there. One place to make it easy for everybody. But yeah, 8 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be doing a docu live stream. I really appreciate you guys showing up. And I'm gonna call this one to an end. It's a crazy world. It's really disturbing. And like Bill said, sunlight is the best disinfectant. It's just sort of crazy that all this, we are in the time of revelation. I did a stream yesterday about the last pope. You can check that out. It's out there. But we are in this time where everything is revealing itself. And I don't know if many of us even knew how bad it was. It's super bad. Like I say, I started to look at it when I was still living in Canada after Trudeau got in. And I was like, oh my God, but it's worse. It gets worse all the time. And as we reveal, we understand more. I don't know, if I don't laugh, I'm going to cry, but I want to thank you guys for attending this show. Check out the website and I will see you tomorrow, 8 p.m. Word up to all. Todd, word up. We're signing out. Thank you for streaming, coming here. If you caught the end of it, please just go back and watch the replay. Take care, guys.